it's been a hard year. We've had a lot of stuff, injuries, illnesses, things pop up at just the worst times. So I think we've really, we started with the idea of being faster than last year, and it didn't happen right away. To be honest, we've had every excuse to go, well, not our season, pack it in. But we've done an incredible job of persevering. And every week you can see getting faster. A couple weeks ago, I think one of the questions was, what went wrong? And it's not in that race. Nothing went wrong. Nothing's gone wrong. We just haven't had the ability to put it all together for enough time to really get something good out of it. So this last couple weeks of practice have been so important to be home and on our water and two-a-days and doing more video review, just having the extra time we've had. I think we've actually been able to put a lot together, and we're going to hopefully see some little surprise for everybody.
Bronze finish is the best that the program's ever done. It's happened 3 different times. How much does it now take to make that next jump?
That next jump is difficult. It seems like 2 or 3 different programs can kind of be in that third place spot, but it's always Drexel and Northeastern in 1 and 2. So it's kind of almost making the jump between kind of being in the middle of the NCAA to being inside, just outside, or maybe inside the top 20. It's a big jump. Northeastern was at Eastern Sprints a couple weeks ago, and they were finishing in the grand finals against 1A or one Power 5 competition, and that's a place that we're attempting to get to, but we're not there yet.
But speaking of big jumps, your 2v8 just the other week showed a minute-plus jump. It went from finishing behind Dayton to easily beating the Flyers. That right there is enough reason to show your team and program, hey, it can happen just 1 week to the next.
Yeah, a lot of it's less the time, but more the gap. Both the 1B and 2B look like they took about 17 seconds off the weekend before comparatively to Dayton. So 17 seconds is a lot. We have to then, in the last 2 weeks, the question is we needed another 15 or so seconds. Have we gotten that? And we had a pretty good last hard workout at home this morning. We're seeing some good numbers that hopefully we can take into New York on Friday.
You mentioned going to New York. It had been at the Cooper River in New Jersey for a while. Now you move locations, still same partnership with multiple conferences holding theirs at the same spot. But what's the difference with Saratoga versus the previous location?
Saratoga has more on-the-water warm-up space. It's a little bit, it's a creek, flows into a river. But it has, the 2K course, 8 lanes wide, so there's plenty of space. But it also has several thousand meters above the course to warm up in, which Cooper really doesn't have that much space. So you kind of get up to the starting line and you don't have a lot to do, a lot of space to kind of continue your warm up at the Cooper. Whereas here, they've got a nice racetrack pattern. You can get some good starts and warm up, drill work, and keep moving. Whereas the Cooper, you kind of sit. There's a little bit of space, but you kind of sit for a while. So it allows us to have a better on-the-water warm-up. We don't have to bring as much off-the-water equipment, ergs and bikes and all that, so that the athletes can get prepped off the water. Now we can just go on the water and hit the warm-up like we do at home.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions a lot of people have is if you win one race, you're the champion. That's not the case. It's an accumulation of points across all the races.
Yes. So the way the points work is each boat is weighted. So the 4 is weighted kind of 1 point per position. So now that there are 7 teams in the race, next year will be at 8. The winner gets 7 points. The last place team gets 1. Then the 2V is 14-2, and then the 1V is 21-3. So each place you multiply kind of that spot by 2 or 3 as you move up in boat classes. So the 1V carries the most points weight, but it has come down to really the 4, and particularly in the last couple of years, the 2V, and to make it close between who's going to the NCAA Championships and winning the conference. Last year, I believe it was a tie, and because Northeastern won the 1V, they ended up winning the conference championship because that's the tiebreaker. The previous year, Northeastern was first in both the 4 and the 2V and second in the 1V, and still won the conference championship on points because Drexel's 2V8 finished fourth, I believe. So that point gap matters.
Not that it affects a whole lot of things, but you're used to racing on weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. This will be a Friday morning transition, which means you leave during the week. Not that kids have classes right now, but how does that change routine and repetition?
Well, we actually have restarted classes now. So we have a couple people who are missing some classes for conference championships. It's nice that we're not, some of our competitions and exams, so they are really kind of having to figure out their scheduling because they're missing exams. We're missing a couple early first week classes in our summer session, but it's not necessarily going to change a lot because of the way we approach CAAs and that we leave. This year we'll leave on Wednesday. Usually we leave on Friday, but we leave 2 days before because it's a long bus ride and I don't want to go bus ride, practice, hotel, race with an 8-hour, 10-hour bus ride. So we leave a little bit earlier and that allows us a little more freedom, particularly on Thursday. In this case, Thursday, to get a good practice session in, get a good sleep, stretch, relax, recover off the bus, and gives us a better attempt at a practice session rather than popping right off the bus, trying to rig and go for a row. Because if we were to try and get there we have a 3:30 cutoff in the afternoon, we'd be leaving at 4:30 in the morning, and that just is not going to set us up well to race the next day. So I think we're going to kind of treat it like a weekend, like when we have a Sunday regatta. And I think that's going to kind of pay off. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different when it comes to the minutia of the weekend.
And then we'll get you out of here on this. You think back to when you took over this program, the expectation was to just be competitive, be part of it. Now it's to win championships. How big a gap? You haven't closed yet because you're not holding a trophy yet, but how much room has this program grown?
I think it's a ton. We still have a lot of growth to do. We still need to kind of change where we think fast is and make some new history of the program. We've done a decent job of putting new people on our record board in the last couple of years, but I'd really like it to be cleared in the next 2 or 3 years and everybody on there has a 202 and then a different number after it. I think as a program, we've made it a long way. We had 55 people on the team, returned 45 from the previous year. When I took over, we returned 16. So even trying to find depth was a problem. So now it's team size and starting to use that size to build competition in speed. And, it takes a while to build the size, and then it takes a while to kind of build the competition with that size. So we're in the process, and I'd like to say it's happened quickly, but never as fast as you want it to happen. I wanted it to happen last year or 2 years ago, but I think we built a nice size, and now we need to continue to build the competition.